What would you do if you find out that while you and your child was living in a homeless shelter, a family member was making thousands of dollars off a house that belonged to you, a house you never knew existed? That's today's story. And trust me, you are not ready for where this goes. Let's dive in.
My wealthy grandmother saw me and my 6-year-old son at a family shelter. She didn't ask why we were there. She asked, "When did you sell the lake house?" I had no idea what she was talking about. 2 weeks later, I discovered my brother had been living there for 3 years, collecting rent from tenants and telling everyone I'd moved abroad. Let's get into it. If you've never had to explain to a 6-year-old why the bathroom has a sign-up sheet, let me paint you a picture. It's 5:47 in the morning at Riverside Family Services, and my son Marcus is standing in the hallway in his dinosaur pajamas, holding his toothbrush like it's a weapon. "Mom," he whispers, because even at 6 he's learned that volume equals vulnerability in places like this. "Why do we have to wait?" I'm looking at the clipboard hanging next to the communal bathroom. 3 names ahead of us. Someone's written, "Hurry up please," next to the 5:30 slot in angry capitals. It's like waiting for a roller coaster, I tell him, which is the kind of lie that exhausted single mothers tell when the truth would break both of you before breakfast. Marcus nods slowly. He's got this way of looking at me lately, like he's trying to memorize my face in case I disappear. It's the look that keeps me awake at night long after he's asleep. The bathroom door opens and Mrs. Chen shuffles out, her 2-year-old daughter balanced on her hip. She doesn't make eye contact. Nobody does here. Eye contact means conversation, and conversation means having to acknowledge out loud where we all are. "Your turn," I say to Marcus, trying to inject some brightness into my voice like we're at a theme park instead of a shelter that smells like industrial cleaner and defeated dreams. Inside, the bathroom has rules posted on laminated paper. 3 of them. Limit 10 minutes. Clean up after yourself. Report any issues to staff immediately. There's a 4th rule someone added in Sharpie. Be kind. We're all struggling. Marcus brushes his teeth while I stand guard by the door, which doesn't lock properly. Another thing you learn fast in shelters. Privacy is a luxury, not a right. When we get back to our room, I realize his school uniform shirt has a stain on the collar. Not a big one. Just enough that a teacher might notice. Just enough that kids might comment. I wet a paper towel and scrub at it, but the stain has settled in like it belongs there. Like it's claiming territory. "It's fine, Mom," Marcus says quietly. But it's not fine. Nothing about this is fine. By 6:15 we're dressed and ready. Marcus has his backpack which is almost as big as he is. Inside, 3 library books that are 2 days overdue, a lunch I packed last night using the communal kitchen, and a permission slip for a field trip that costs $20 I don't have. The shelter door is heavy, the kind that closes with purpose. Every morning when we walk through it, I feel like we're being expelled from somewhere we were never welcome in the first place. Outside, the November air hits like a slap. Cold enough to make your lungs hurt. Cold enough to make you question every decision that led you here. The bus stop is 2 blocks away. Marcus holds my hand without me asking him to. 3 months ago he would have protested. "I'm not a baby, Mom." Now he holds on tight, like he's afraid the wind might take one of us. We're the first ones at the stop. The bench has graffiti carved into it. "Danny was here," and a phone number that's been scratched out. Marcus traces the letters with his finger. "Mom," he says, "are we going to live at the shelter forever?" The question lands in my chest like a stone. I open my mouth and nothing comes out. That's when I see it. A black sedan sliding up to the curb. Not a taxi. Not a rideshare. Too expensive, too deliberate, too out of place in this neighborhood where cars have duct tape holding their bumpers on. The back window rolls down. And there she is. Vivian Montgomery. My grandmother. The woman who once told a Fortune 500 CEO that his presentation was aggressively mediocre, and then bought his company out from under him. The woman who wears pearls like armor and has never, in 73 years, been late to anything. I haven't seen her in 8 months. She's looking at the shelter sign behind us. then at Marcus, then at me. Her expression doesn't change, which is somehow worse than if she'd looked horrified. Vivian Montgomery doesn't do horror. She does calculation. Jordan, she says. My name sounds strange in her voice. Formal. Like she's reading it off a document. I try to speak. My throat has turned to sandpaper. Grandmother, I manage. She's still looking at the shelter sign. Riverside Family Services. The words might as well be carved in neon. Get in the car, she says. It's not a request. Marcus looks up at me, his hand tightening around mine. He's never met my grandmother before. I've made sure of it. Not because Vivian is cruel, but because her world and ours stopped intersecting the day I married someone she didn't approve of. Grandmother, we're fine, I hear myself say. We're just waiting for the bus. At 6:30 in the morning, Vivian says. Outside a family shelter. The words hang in the cold air between us. Jordan, she says again. Why aren't you living at the lake house? My brain short-circuits. What lake house? Vivian's eyes narrow. Not with anger. With something sharper. Recognition. The look she gets when numbers don't add up on a balance sheet. The property on Clearwater Drive, she says slowly. The lake house I transferred to you 4 years ago. The world tilts sideways. Marcus tugs my sleeve. Mom, what lake house? I look down at him, then back at my grandmother. Her face has gone very still. You don't know, she says. It's not a question. I shake my head because words have become impossible. The sedan door opens. Vivian steps out in a camel coat that probably costs more than 6 months of rent. She walks toward us, and I notice she's using a cane now. That's new. She never mentioned it in the brief. Formal emails we exchanged twice a year. She stops in front of Marcus and lowers herself slightly. The gesture looks painful. You must be Marcus, she says. He nods wide-eyed. I'm your great-grandmother. He pauses. Do you like hot chocolate? Marcus looks at me for permission. I'm still trying to process the words lake house and transferred to you, and trying to make them mean something that doesn't break my brain. Yeah, Marcus whispers. Good, Vivian says. She straightens up, winces slightly, and looks at me. There's a diner 3 blocks from here. You'll follow me there. We'll talk. Grandmother, I have to get Marcus to school. I'll handle it, she says. Not dismissive. Matter of fact. Get in your car. I don't have a car anymore. I sold it 2 months ago when the shelter fees came due. We don't. I start. Vivian's expression shifts. Just slightly. Just enough that I see something crack in her composure. Then ride with me, she says quietly. So we do. The inside of the sedan smells like leather and something expensive I can't identify. Probably what money smells like when it's old and well managed. Marcus presses his face against the window, watching the world slide by. Vivian makes a phone call. Brief clip. Clearwater Drive property file. I want the full history. Every transaction, every signature, every communication. On my desk in 2 hours. She hangs up and doesn't explain. The diner is called Rosie's. The kind of place with red vinyl booths and a waitress who calls everyone hon. We slide into a corner booth. Marcus immediately starts building a tower out of creamer containers. Vivian orders hot chocolate for Marcus, black coffee for herself, and looks at me expectantly. Coffee, I say. Please. When the waitress leaves, Vivian folds her hands on the table. Her rings catch the fluorescent light. A wedding band she's worn for 51 years, even though my grandfather has been gone for 12. A signet ring with the Montgomery family crest. A sapphire that belonged to her mother. 4 years ago, she begins. I transferred the Clearwater Lake house into your name. Clear title. No mortgage. The property was meant to provide you with security. My heart is pounding so hard I can feel it in my temples. I never received anything, I whisper. Someone did, Vivian says. Her voice is ice. Someone signed for the paperwork. Someone accepted the transfer. Someone has been paying the property taxes. Who? But even as I ask, I know. I know with a certainty that makes me feel sick. Your brother, Vivian says. Nathan. The hot chocolate arrives. Marcus drinks it like it's the best thing he's ever tasted, which it probably is compared to the instant packets we get at the shelter. He has a chocolate mustache and doesn't care. I can't drink my coffee. My hands are shaking too hard. Nathan told me you'd received the house, Vivian continues. He said you were living there. He sent me photos. Photos. Of you and Marcus at the lake. Playing on the dock. Swimming. Having barbecues. Close my eyes. Those were from before. From when we used to visit Uncle Richard's cabin when I was younger. Nathan must have doctored them, Vivian finishes. Yes. That's becoming clear now. Marcus has finished his hot chocolate and is eyeing the menu, specifically the picture of pancakes shaped like Mickey Mouse. Can I get pancakes? He asks quietly. You can get whatever you want, Vivian says. Then she catches the waitress's eye and orders the pancakes, bacon, eggs, and orange juice without asking me. Without asking if I can pay for it. I should feel grateful. Instead, I feel humiliated. Grandmother, I say slowly. I need to understand this. You gave me a house. I transferred a property to you, yes. It was meant to be your safety net. Why didn't you tell me directly? Vivian's jaw tightens. Because I asked Nathan to handle the paperwork. He's a real estate attorney. It seemed efficient. He pauses. It was a mistake. That's as close to an apology as Vivian Montgomery gets. What happened to the house? I ask, even though I'm afraid of the answer. According to preliminary information, Vivian says, it's been rented out. Continuously. For the past 3.5 years. The diner suddenly feels very hot. Nathan's been collecting rent, I say. It's not a question. Approximately $4,000 per month, Vivian says. Times 42 months. I do the math in my head. Then I do it again because surely I'm wrong. $168,000. I think about the shelter. The bathroom schedule. Marcus's stained shirt. The overdue library books. The field trip permission slip I can't afford to sign. $168,000. Where's the money? I whisper. That, Vivian says, is what I intend to find out. Marcus's pancakes arrive. He starts eating carefully, cutting each bite into precise squares like he's worried someone might take it away if he's not respectful enough to the food. My phone buzzes. A text from the shelter. Room check at 2 p.m. Please be present or notify staff. Room check. They need to make sure we haven't trashed the place or moved in extra people or violated any of the 17 rules posted on the back of our door. I text back. We'll be there. Vivian is watching me. You're living in a shelter, she says. How did this happen? And there it is. The question I've been avoiding even asking myself. Do you remember Trevor? Yes. Vivian's expression hardens. Your ex-husband. Yeah. I take a sip of coffee. It's too hot and I burn my tongue, but at least it gives me something to do. We got divorced 18 months ago. Things were bad. He wasn't physically violent, but financially. He destroyed us. Marcus is still eating his pancakes, absorbed in his task. He doesn't need to hear this story again. Trevor had a gambling problem. I continue. Sports betting mostly. He'd go on winning streaks and think he had a system. Then he'd lose everything plus money we didn't have. I didn't know how bad it was until the credit card companies started calling. Vivian listens without interrupting. It's one of her skills. Silence as a weapon. Silence as encouragement. You never quite know which kind you're getting. By the time I filed for divorce, we had $70,000 in debt. I took half in the settlement because my lawyer said fighting it would cost more than I'd save. I've been paying it off ever since. What about child support? Vivian asks. I laugh and it comes out bitter. Trevor moved to Colorado and works under the table. I haven't seen a payment in 14 months. You could pursue legal action. With what money, grandmother? I'm a dental hygienist. I make okay money, but after debt payments, rent, childcare, everything else, I trail off. There was never anything left. And you ended up in a shelter. I nod. My landlord sold the building. New owner doubled the rent. I couldn't pay it. We moved in with my friend Sarah for a while, but her boyfriend moved in and the apartment got too crowded. She was kind about it, but I could see we were overstaying. I take another sip of coffee. The shelter was supposed to be temporary, just until I found something affordable. How long have you been there? 4 months. Vivian's hand tightens around her coffee cup. And where was Nathan during all this? Nathan. I almost laugh again. Nathan stopped taking my calls about a year ago. He said he was busy with work. Said I was draining his energy with my problems. Said I needed to figure my life out. Did you ask him for help? I looked down at the table. This is the part that hurts. Once, I asked if he could loan me $2,000 for a security deposit on an apartment. He said no. He said he and Melissa were saving for a house and couldn't spare it. Vivian's expression could cut glass. He said he couldn't spare $2,000. Yeah. While collecting $4,000 per month from a property that belonged to you. The math sits there between us like a body. Marcus finishes his pancakes and announces he needs to use the bathroom. I start to get up, but Vivian gestures for me to stay. I'll take him, she says. I watch my 73-year-old grandmother walk my 6-year-old son to the bathroom. Her cane tapping against the linoleum floor. Such a simple thing. Such a grandmotherly thing. And I realize this is the first time Marcus has ever experienced it. When they come back, Marcus is holding Vivian's free hand and chattering about the dinosaur facts he learned from his library books. Vivian is listening intently, asking questions like she actually cares about the hunting patterns of velociraptors. Something in my chest cracks. They slide back into the booth, and Vivian checks her watch. It's a Patek Philippe that my grandfather gave her on their 40th anniversary. My assistant will have the property file within the hour, she says. In the meantime, I need you to tell me everything Nathan has said to you about your living situation. So I do. I tell her about the phone calls that went unanswered. The text messages that got shorter and shorter until they stopped completely. The Christmas card last year that said, "Hope you're well," with no return address. I tell her about my mother's funeral 2 years ago, how Nathan stood on one side of the grave and I stood on the other, and we didn't speak except to say, "Sorry for your loss," like we were strangers. I tell her about seeing Nathan's Instagram 6 months ago, photos of him and his wife Melissa at a lake house, sitting on a dock with wine glasses, sunset behind them, caption reading, "Blessed to have this peaceful retreat." Did the house look familiar? Vivian asked. Think back. Maybe. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to the house. I was angry, I guess. Angry that he looked so happy when I was barely surviving. Vivian's phone buzzes. She reads something, her expression unchanging, then sets it down. The property manager has confirmed, she says quietly, that Nathan has been representing himself as both the owner and your power of attorney. He's signed lease agreements, collected rent, handled maintenance issues. All under the pretense that you were living abroad and he was managing the property in your absence. Living abroad, I repeat. According to the story he told, you moved to Portugal for work. Teaching position. Marcus was enrolled in international school. You were thriving. The lies are so elaborate, so detailed, that I'm almost impressed. Almost. Everyone believed him. Yes. Why wouldn't they? Vivian says. Nathan is a respected attorney. He had documentation. He was professional, reliable. And you? She pauses. You disappeared. I didn't disappear. I was surviving. Did you tell anyone in the family what was happening? I open my mouth to say yes, then close it again. Because the truth is, I didn't. After the divorce, I stopped going to family events. Stopped answering calls. Stopped posting on social media. I was too ashamed, too exhausted, too buried under the weight of just getting through each day. I thought you all knew, I whisper. I thought Nathan told everyone I was struggling. I thought you didn't care. Vivian's expression softens just slightly. Jordan. I would have helped. Would you? You didn't approve of Trevor. You told me I was making a mistake marrying him. You were right, but... I trail off. I guess I thought you'd say, I told you so. I probably would have, Vivian admits. But I also would have helped. You're my granddaughter. Marcus is my great-grandson. Family means something to me, even when we disagree. The waitress comes by to refill our coffee. Marcus has pulled out one of his library books and is reading quietly. His lips moving slightly as he sounds out the bigger words. What happens now? Yes. Vivian checks her phone again. Now we go to the lake house. What? I want to see it. I want to see what he's done with property that belongs to you. She stands up, leaves cash on the table including a generous tip, and looks at me expectantly. Unless you have somewhere else you need to be. I think about the shelter. The room check at 2 p.m. The narrow bed. The bathroom schedule. No, I say. I don't have anywhere else to be. The drive to Clearwater Drive takes 40 minutes. Marcus falls asleep in the back seat, his head resting against the window, his library book open in his lap. Vivian drives in silence. I watch the city give way to suburbs, then to the kind of neighborhood where houses have names instead of numbers. The Willows. Clearwater Manor. Sunset Point. We pull up to a house that makes my breath catch. It's beautiful. 2 stories, cedar siding weathered to a soft gray, large windows facing the lake, a wraparound porch with rocking chairs. There's a dock stretching out into the water, a small boathouse, trees surrounding the property like a protective embrace. This is mine, I whisper. This is yours, Vivian confirms. There's a car in the driveway, a silver SUV with a bike rack on the back. Through the front window I can see movement inside. Someone's home, I say. The current tenants, Vivian says. She pulls out her phone, makes a call. Adam, I'm at the Clearwater property. I need you to contact the tenants and let them know the owner is here for an inspection. Yes now. 30 minutes notice is sufficient. She hangs up. You can't just... I start. I can, Vivian says. And I will. This is your property, Jordan. You have every right to see it. We wait in the car. Marcus wakes up, sees the house, and his eyes go wide. Is that ours? He asks. Maybe, I say, because I still can't quite believe it. 20 minutes later, a couple emerges from the house. Late 30s, both in athletic wear, looking confused and slightly annoyed. They approach the car cautiously. Vivian rolls down her window. Can we help you? The woman asks. I'm Vivian Montgomery, my grandmother says. This property belongs to my granddaughter. We're here to inspect it. The couple exchanges glances. Nathan said he owns this house, the man says. Nathan lied, Vivian replies calmly. I have the deed in my vehicle if you'd like to see it. But regardless, you will allow us access or I will call the police and we'll sort out who has legal authority. The woman's face pales. We've been paying rent on time. Every month. We have a lease. I'm sure you do, Vivian says. And that's a matter we'll address. But right now we're coming inside. She gets out of the car. Follow, pulling Marcus with me. My heart is hammering. The inside of the house is even more beautiful than the outside. Hardwood floors. A stone fireplace. Large windows with views of the lake. The kitchen has been updated recently. Granite counters, stainless appliances. The furniture is modern and tasteful. This is a fully furnished rental, the woman says nervously. Everything came with the house. Nathan said he was maintaining it as an investment property. I'm walking through the space in a daze. There's a bedroom on the first floor that would be perfect for Marcus. Upstairs, a master suite with a balcony overlooking the water. Guest room. An office. Home. Not a shelter. Not a friend's couch. Home. How much are you paying in rent? Vivian asks the tenants. 4,000 a month, the man says. It's high, but the location and the house itself. And you pay Nathan directly. We wire it to an account he provided. We've never had any issues. Vivian pulls out her phone and shows them something. This is the deed. As you can see, the property owner is Jordan Montgomery, not Nathan Collins. The couple looks at the document, then at me, then at each other. We didn't know, the woman says quickly. We would never knowingly. I believe you, I say. This isn't your fault. Marcus tugs my hand. Mom, can I see the doc? Sweetie, this isn't our house yet. Actually, Vivian says. It is. She looks at the tenants. You have 30 days to vacate. I'll have my attorney draft a formal notice. Any rent you've paid for future months will be returned to you. You're not responsible for Nathan's fraud. Fraud, the man says, his voice rising. We're going to lose our housing because of fraud. You're going to lose your rental property because the actual owner is reclaiming it, Vivian corrects. And if you have an issue with that, I suggest you take it up with Nathan Collins, who falsely represented himself as the owner. The couple looks shaken but nods. They gather some belongings and leave within 20 minutes, promising to coordinate the move out through their attorney. When they're gone, the house falls silent. Marcus runs from room to room, his footsteps echoing on the hardwood floors. Mom, there's a room with bunk beds and a telescope, and the bathroom has a bathtub big enough to swim in. I stand in the middle of the living room and start to cry. Not quiet tears. Not dignified tears. The ugly kind that come from somewhere deep and broken. Vivian doesn't touch me. She's not a hugger. Instead, she sits down in one of the armchairs and waits. When I can finally speak, I say, he let us live in a shelter. He knew where we were and he let us stay there. Yes, Vivian says. While he collected rent on my house. Yes. And told everyone I was living in Portugal. Yes. I wipe my face with my sleeve. What kind of person does that? A person who values money more than family, Vivian says quietly. Unfortunately, I've known many such people in my life. I never thought my own grandson would be one of them. Marcus comes back into the room, sees me crying, and immediately wraps his arms around my waist. Don't be sad, Mom, he says. This house is really nice. We don't have to go back to the shelter, right? I look at Vivian over Marcus's head. Right, she says firmly. You're never going back there. Over the next 2 weeks, things happen fast. Vivian's attorneys move like a well-oiled machine. They file a fraud complaint against Nathan. They submit the deed to the county recorder's office, establishing clear ownership. They send formal eviction notices to the tenants and work out a settlement that doesn't leave them homeless. They also subpoena Nathan's bank records. The numbers when they come back are staggering. $168,000 in rental income. But that's not all. Nathan also took out a home equity line of credit against the property. $50,000. Money I never saw. Money I never authorized. He forged my signature. I'm sitting in Vivian's attorney's office when they explain this to me. The office has those floor-to-ceiling windows that make you feel like you're floating above the city. Adam Chen, the attorney, is in his 50s with gray temples and the calm demeanor of someone who's seen every kind of human ugliness. This is identity theft, he says. Wire fraud. Forgery. Real estate fraud. We're looking at multiple felony charges. My stomach churns. He's my brother. He's a criminal, Vivian says flatly. The fact that you share DNA doesn't change that. What do you want to do? Adam asks me. You're the victim here. You get to decide how far this goes. I think about Marcus at the shelter, wearing mismatched socks and asking me if we'd live there forever. I think about the library books I couldn't afford to replace. The field trip I couldn't pay for. The nights I lay awake doing math in my head, trying to figure out how to stretch $17 until my next paycheck. I want him prosecuted, I say. Fully. Vivian nods approvingly. Adam makes a note. The district attorney will need to interview you. may get public. Your family. My family, I interrupt. Let me become homeless while one of them got rich off my property. I don't care what they think anymore. But that's a lie. I do care. Because 3 days later I get a phone call from my father. Dad hasn't called in months. We have a polite but distant relationship. Holiday texts, brief phone calls on birthdays. The kind of relationship you have with someone you're related to but don't actually know anymore. Jordan, he says, and his voice is tight. What the hell is going on? Hi, Dad. Nathan called me. He's in serious trouble. He says you and Vivian are trying to destroy him. Close my eyes. I'm at the lake house now, staying in the guest room until the tenants move out. Marcus is at school. The house is quiet. Nathan committed fraud, I say calmly. He stole from me for over 3 years. That's not how he tells it. I'm sure it's not. He says there was a misunderstanding. That he was managing the property as a favor. That you knew about it. That's a lie, Dad. There's a pause. Jordan, this is family business. Can't you all work this out without involving lawyers and police? Nathan made over $200,000 off a house that belonged to me. I say, my voice rising. While I was living in a homeless shelter with your grandson. Your 6-year-old grandson. Did Nathan mention that part? Dad, I say. Did you know Marcus and I were in a shelter? Nathan said you were doing fine. He said you were managing. Did you ever call to check? He was silent for a while. We were in a shelter for 4 months, I say quietly. Marcus had to sign up to use the bathroom. We had bed checks. We ate donated food. I watched him wear clothes that didn't fit because I couldn't afford new ones. And Nathan knew. He knew exactly where we were. Jesus, my father whispers. So no, Dad. I'm not working this out quietly. I'm pressing charges. And if you want to support Nathan instead of me, that's your choice. But make it knowing the full truth. Hang up. My hands are shaking. I feel vindicated and angry and sad all at once. An hour later my phone buzzes. It's Nathan. The text says, "We need to talk. This has gone too far. I can explain everything." I screenshot it and send it to Adam Chen. He replies immediately. "Do not respond. Do not engage. Forward all communication." But I want to respond. I want to tell Nathan exactly what I think of him. I want to ask him how he slept at night knowing his nephew was in a shelter. I want to scream. Instead I block his number. 2 days later Vivian calls me. "There's a family gathering," she says. "Your Aunt Susan's birthday. Nathan will be there." "I'm not going." "Yes," Vivian says. "You are." "Grandmother." "Jordan, listen to me. Right now Nathan is controlling the narrative. He's telling everyone you're being vindictive. That you're exaggerating. That Vivian and her money are clouding your judgment. If you don't show up, you're letting him win. I don't care about winning. You should, Vivian says. Because this isn't just about you. Marcus will grow up around these people. Do you want him to grow up thinking his mother was too weak to face her accuser? That hits home. Fine, I say. I'll go. But you're coming with me. Obviously, Vivian says. I wouldn't miss this for anything. Aunt Susan's birthday party is at a country club. The kind with a golf course and a dress code and valets who judge your car. I pull up in Vivian's sedan. She insisted I borrow it, and immediately feel out of place. Marcus is with me. He's wearing a new outfit Vivian bought him. Khakis and a button-down shirt. He keeps tugging at the collar. Do I have to go? He asks. Yes, I say. But if it gets weird, we're leaving. Mom, it's already weird. You said these people are related to us, but I've never met them. He's not wrong. Inside, the party is in a private room overlooking the golf course. There are about 30 people, most of them family members I vaguely recognize. Cousins I haven't seen since childhood. Aunts and uncles who sent holiday cards but never called. And there by the bar is Nathan. He looks good. He always looks good. Tall, fit, well-dressed in a way that says, successful attorney without being showy. His wife Melissa is next to him in a designer dress, laughing at something someone said. They haven't seen me yet. Vivian arrives 10 minutes later. She makes an entrance without trying, simply by being herself. People notice her immediately. Vivian Montgomery is family royalty, and everyone wants her attention. She finds me in the corner and nods approvingly. Good. You came. I'm regretting it already. You'll survive, she says. Then she looks at Marcus. Would you like some cake? I see they've already started cutting it. Marcus lights up. Can I? Go ahead, I say. He runs off toward the dessert table, and Vivian turns to me with a sharp smile. Ready? No. Perfect. Follow my lead. She walks toward Nathan. I follow because at this point I've committed. Nathan sees us approaching. His expression goes through several stages. Surprise, calculation, forced casualness. Grandmother, he says warmly. Jordan. I didn't know you'd be here. Really? Vivian says. It's a family event. Where else would we be? Melissa touches Nathan's arm nervously. She knows something is wrong but doesn't know what. How have you been? Nathan asks me like we're old friends catching up. I've been better, I say. How's the lake house? His smile freezes. What lake house? He says smoothly. And that's when I know he's going to keep lying, even now, even with everything coming down around him. The lake house on Clearwater Drive. I say loudly enough that people nearby start to quiet down. The one grandmother transferred to me 4 years ago. The one you've been renting out and pocketing the money from. That lake house. The silence spreads through the room like a stain. Nathan's jaw tightens. Jordan, I think you're confused. Am I? I pull out my phone and hold up the deed. Because I have documentation that says otherwise. Melissa looks at Nathan. What is she talking about? It's complicated, Nathan says quickly. There was a misunderstanding about property management. You told everyone I was living in Portugal, I interrupt. You showed people doctored photos. You forged my signature on financial documents. You collected over $200,000 from a property that belonged to me. Someone gasped. I think it's my cousin Rachel. While you were doing that, I continue, and my voice is shaking now but I push through. Marcus and I were living in a homeless shelter. Did you tell everyone that part, Nathan? Did you mention that your nephew was sleeping in a shelter while you collected $4,000 a month from his mother's house? The room has gone completely silent. Nathan's face flushes red. You were never homeless. You're being dramatic. I have intake paperwork, I say. I have shelter logs. I have proof of every night Marcus and I spent at Riverside Family Services. I look around the room. My brother committed fraud, identity theft, forgery, and he did it while letting a 6-year-old child live in poverty. My father appears from somewhere in the crowd. Jordan, this is not the time or place. When is the time, Dad? Snap. When was I supposed to mention that Nathan stole from me? At Christmas. Oh wait, I wasn't invited to Christmas because Nathan told everyone I moved to Portugal. I think we should discuss this privately, Nathan says, trying to regain control. No, Vivian says sharply. Everyone turns to look at her. She's been silent until now, letting me have my moment. We'll discuss it right here. Because you've been operating in private for 3 years, Nathan. Time for some sunlight. She pulls out her own phone and begins reading from it like she's delivering a corporate presentation. Nathan Collins, licensed attorney, represented himself as owner and power of attorney for property at 428 Clearwater Drive. Collected rent payments totaling $168,000 between January 2022 and present. Additionally secured a $50,000 home equity line of credit using forged documentation. The numbers land like bombs. He stole over $200,000, Vivian continues, from his sister, a single mother working as a dental hygienist. While she couldn't afford a security deposit on an apartment, He took his wife on vacation to Bali. While her son wore second-hand clothes, he bought a Tesla. Melissa's face has gone white. Nathan. It's not that simple, Nathan says desperately. Jordan abandoned the property. She wasn't using it. Someone had to manage it. I didn't abandon it, I say, and my voice cracks. I didn't know it existed. You intercepted everything. You lied to everyone. You made sure I never knew what grandmother had given me. You could have asked her yourself. You told me she was traveling. You told me she was busy. You told me not to bother her. I'm shouting now and I don't care. You isolated me so you could rob me, Nathan. You're not just a thief. You're calculated. You're deliberate. You're cruel. Tears are running down my face. Marcus has appeared at my side, holding a plate of cake, looking scared. Mom, he says quietly. I crouch down and pull him close. It's okay, baby. We're okay. Nathan makes one last attempt. He looks around the room, appealing to the crowd. Look, there were miscommunications. I was trying to help. The property needed management. Jordan was going through a divorce, she was unstable. Don't, Vivian says, her voice like a blade. Don't you dare try to spin this. She walks toward him slowly. For a 73-year-old woman with a cane, she's terrifying. I trusted you, she says quietly. When your sister needed help, I gave her a house. I asked you, as the attorney in the family, to handle the paperwork. You saw an opportunity and you took it. You didn't just steal money, Nathan. You stole your sister's security. You stole your nephew's childhood. You stole 4 years of their lives. Nathan's composure finally cracks. She would have squandered it. Jordan's always been irresponsible with money. The divorce, the debt her ex-husband created, I say. The divorce I filed to protect myself and Marcus. Yeah, I made mistakes, Nathan. But I didn't commit crimes. I didn't steal from family. I didn't let a child suffer so I could live in luxury. Aunt Susan, whose birthday we're supposedly celebrating, steps forward. She's the oldest of my mother's siblings, in her 70s, generally considered the family matriarch after Vivian. Nathan, she says, and her voice is disappointed in a way that cuts deeper than anger. Is this true? He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. There are 2 sides to every story, he finally says. That's not a denial, Aunt Susan observes. Melissa sets down her wine glass very deliberately and walks out of the room. Nathan calls after her, but she doesn't stop. My father is staring at Nathan like he's seeing him for the first time. You told me Jordan was fine. You said she was managing. You said, he stops. You've been lying to all of us. I protected this family's interests, Nathan says, grasping at straws. The property would have been wasted on Jordan. She doesn't understand real estate investments. It wasn't yours to decide, Vivian says coldly. And now you'll face the consequences. She pulls out an envelope and hands it to him. You're being officially served. Civil lawsuit for theft and fraud. The criminal charges are being filed separately. My attorneys estimate you owe Jordan approximately $270,000 when we factor in lost rental income, the equity line, and damages. Nathan stares at the envelope like it's a snake. You'll also be reported to the State Bar Association, Vivian continues. Given that you forged legal documents and misrepresented yourself in matters of property law, I imagine they'll take a keen interest in reviewing your license. The room is so quiet I can hear someone's phone buzzing in their pocket. Grandmother, Nathan says, and for the first time he sounds scared. Please. We're family. Yes, Vivian says. We are. Which makes what you did even more unforgivable. She turns away from him, takes my arm and looks at Marcus. Come on, sweetheart. Let's get some real cake at a real bakery. This party is over. We walk out together. Behind us, I hear the explosion of conversation, everyone talking at once. In the parking lot I start shaking. Full body tremors that I can't control. Marcus hugs my legs. You were really brave, Mom. I was really angry, I tell him. You can be both, Vivian says. She's leaning on her cane, looking tired but satisfied. You did well in there, Jordan. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's normal. Confrontation is exhausting, even when you're right. Especially when you're right. My phone starts buzzing. Text after text. Cousins I haven't heard from in years. Aunts offering support. My father asking if we can talk. And one from Melissa. I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know. I'm so sorry. Believe her. Nathan's good at lying. What happens now? Ask Vivian. Now. He checks her watch. Now we get cake. Tomorrow the attorneys continue their work. Next week you move into your house. And eventually, your brother faces what he's done. Will he go to jail? Maybe. Probably. Does that bother you? I think about it honestly. No, I say. It doesn't. Good, Vivian says. Mercy is a virtue, but so is justice. The criminal trial takes 8 months. 8 months of depositions and evidence gathering and Nathan's attorneys trying every delay tactic in the book. 8 months of my face appearing in local news articles with headlines like Attorney Accused of Defrauding Sister and Homeless Shelter to Lake House. One woman's story of family betrayal. 8 months of therapy for me and Marcus. Working through the trauma of the shelter and the betrayal and all the complicated feelings that come with watching your brother get prosecuted. But during those 8 months, our life becomes something I never thought possible. We move into the lake house. The first night, Marcus runs through every room turning on every light, like he's claiming territory. Like he's making sure it's real. We don't have to turn off lights to save money, he asks. We still should, I say. But not because we can't afford them. Because it's good for the planet. He nods seriously and promptly leaves every light on anyway. I don't make him turn them off. That first night, I lie in the master bedroom under clean sheets that I bought myself, listening to the lake water lap against the shore. Marcus is asleep down the hall in his room with the bunk beds and the telescope and the glow-in-the-dark star stickers we put on the ceiling together. I think about the shelter. About Mrs. Chen and her daughter, who I hope found something better. About the bathroom schedule and the meal tickets and the constant grinding stress of having nowhere that was ours. And I cry. Not sad tears this time. Relief tears. The kind that come when you finally exhale after holding your breath for months. The next morning I call the shelter. I tell them we're donating $5,000, earmarked specifically for families with children. Emergency funds for deposits, school supplies, whatever they need most. We were there, I tell the intake coordinator. We know what it's like. She thanks me with a voice that sounds like it's been thanking people all day and is tired but grateful. I hang up and feel like maybe some good can come from what we went through. Work becomes easier too. I'm still a dental hygienist, but I'm not drowning anymore. I can take a day off when Marcus is sick without calculating whether I can afford the lost wages. I can buy groceries without checking my bank balance first. Can breathe. My coworker Sandra notices the change. You seem lighter, she says one day while we're sterilizing equipment. I am, I tell her. I got my house back. The one your brother stole. Yeah, that one. She shakes her head. I still can't believe he did that. Your own brother. Me neither, I say. But I'm learning to accept it. Some people surprise you in terrible ways. Vivian visits every Sunday. It becomes a ritual. She brings bagels from the expensive place downtown and sits on our porch with her coffee, watching Marcus feed bread to the ducks. One morning, after Marcus has run down to the dock, Vivian says, I owe you an apology. I look at her surprised. Vivian Montgomery doesn't apologize often. I should have checked on you directly, she continues. I should have maintained contact instead of trusting Nathan to relay information. I was lazy, and you suffered for it. You were trusting family, I say. I was naive, Vivian corrects. I spent my career reading people, spotting liars, protecting assets. And I missed the rot in my own family. That's inexcusable. You're here now, I tell her. That's what matters. She looks at me with something that might be pride. You're more forgiving than I am. I've had practice, I say. Trevor taught me that holding on to anger just means the person who hurt you gets to keep hurting you. I'm done with that. Does that apply to Nathan too? I think about my brother. About the trial that's coming. About the plea deal his attorneys are trying to negotiate. I don't forgive Nathan, I say slowly. But I don't think about him much anymore. He doesn't get that space in my head. Vivian nods approvingly. The trial, when it finally happens, lasts 2 weeks. Nathan's defense is that he genuinely believed he was helping, that the property management was a favor, that the miscommunication was honest. The prosecution presents the forged signatures, the fake photos, the testimony from the property management company about Nathan, explicitly instructing them to never contact me directly. The bank records showing the Tesla purchase, the Bali vacation, the designer furniture bought the same month Marcus and I moved into the shelter. The jury deliberates for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. I'm not in the courtroom when the verdict is read. I'm at Marcus's school, watching him in a play about sea creatures. He's a starfish and takes his role very seriously, spreading his arms wide and rotating slowly. My phone buzzes with text. Adam Chen. Guilty. All counts. My father. It's over. Melissa. I'm sorry. For everything. I turn off my phone and watch my son be a starfish. The sentencing happens 3 weeks later. Nathan gets 4 years in prison and 5 years probation. He's ordered to pay full restitution plus penalties, which comes to over $300,000. His law license is permanently revoked. Melissa files for divorce before he even starts his sentence. My father calls me that night. How are you holding up? I'm okay, I say. How are you? Ashamed, he admits. I should have protected you. Should have checked on you. Should have seen what Nathan was doing. Yeah, I agree. You should have. There's silence on the line. But, I continue, you're calling now. That's something. Can I visit? He asks. I'd like to meet my grandson properly. Not at some country club disaster. Just normal grandpa stuff. I look out at the lake. Marcus is on the dock with his fishing pole, which Vivian bought him. He hasn't caught anything yet, but he's patient. Yeah, I tell my father. You can visit. We make plans. Small steps. Rebuilding slowly. That's how healing works, I'm learning. Not in grand gestures but in showing up. In being present. In trying. It's been a year since Vivian's black sedan pulled up outside the shelter. A year since I learned about the lake house. A year since everything changed. Marcus is 7 now. He still loves dinosaurs but has added marine biology to his interests. He wants to be an ocean scientist who studies ancient sea monsters. His teacher says he's thriving. We hosted Thanksgiving this year. First time I've ever done that. My father came. And Susan came. Some cousins I'm reconnecting with. Vivian sat at the head of the table like the matriarch she is and carved the turkey with surgical precision. Marcus said grace. He thanked God for our house, for Grandma Vivian, for his school friends, and for second chances, which Mom says everyone deserves but not everyone takes. I cried into my mashed potatoes. Nathan wrote me a letter from prison. 3 pages, handwritten, full of excuses and justifications, and 1 sentence buried in the middle that might have been close to an apology. I see now that I hurt you and Marcus in ways I didn't fully understand. I read it once. Put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'll be ready to respond. Maybe not. Melissa sends Christmas cards now. She moved to Oregon, started fresh, found work at a nonprofit that helps domestic violence survivors. She writes in the cards that helping other women heal is helping her heal too. Believe her. The shelter sends me updates sometimes. How they used the donation to help 4 families secure housing. How 1 woman got a job and moved her kids into a 2-bedroom apartment. How small interventions can change everything. I think about Mrs. Chen and her daughter sometimes. I hope they found their lake house too, whatever form it takes. Today Marcus and I are sitting on the dock. It's cold, almost winter, but we're bundled up and watching the sunset turn the water gold. Mom, Marcus says. Do you remember the shelter? Yeah, baby. I remember. Was it scary? I think about how to answer. Sometimes. But you made it less scary. You were so brave. I didn't feel brave. That's what brave is, I tell him. Being scared but doing it anyway. He considers this, then nods. Do you think we'll ever have to go back? He asks quietly. No, I say firmly. This house is ours. Really ours. No one can take it away. Because of Grandma Vivian. Because of Grandma Vivian, I agree. And because I'm going to make sure we're always stable. I'm going to build the kind of life where we have cushions and backup plans and savings. So even if something bad happens, we have options. Like a safety net. Exactly like a safety net. We sit in comfortable silence for a while. The water laps. A bird calls from somewhere in the trees. Mom, Marcus says eventually. I'm glad Uncle Nathan got caught. Me too. But I'm sad too. Because he's family and family's supposed to be good. My throat tightens. Yeah, they are. But some people make bad choices. Really bad choices. And there are consequences for that. Is he sorry? I think he's sorry he got caught. I say honestly. I'm not sure if he's sorry for what he did. But that's his work to do, not ours. Marcus nods like he understands, even though he's 7 and shouldn't have to understand betrayal yet. But life doesn't wait until you're ready for its lessons. Can we have hot chocolate? He asks, changing the subject the way kids do when the hard stuff gets too heavy. We can have whatever you want, I tell him. We walk back to the house together. His small hand in mine. Through the window I can see the warm lights inside. We're lights. We're home. My phone buzzes. A text from Vivian. Sunday brunch? I found a new bagel place that's supposedly revolutionary. I text back. Only if they're actually revolutionary and not just overpriced. Vivian. Obviously. I don't do mediocre bagels. I smile and pocket my phone. Inside I make hot chocolate the real way with actual cocoa and milk and tiny marshmallows. Marcus sits at the kitchen counter doing homework. His pencil scratching against paper. What are you working on? Yes. Writing about what I'm thankful for, he says. What are you writing? He turns the paper so I can see. In careful 7-year-old handwriting. I am thankful for my mom who never gave up. And for Grandma Vivian who found us. And for our house. And for hot chocolate. And for teachers who don't ask where you live. That last line breaks my heart and mends it at the same time. That's perfect, I tell him. Do you think I'll get an A? I think you'll get better than an A. He grins and goes back to adding decorative stars to the margins of his paper. Later, after Marcus is asleep, I stand on the porch and look out at the lake. The moon is reflecting on the water, turning everything silver. I think about the bathroom schedule at the shelter. About the Christmas I couldn't afford presents. About the nights I cried in the parking lot where Marcus couldn't hear me. I think about Nathan, sitting in a prison cell, living with the consequences of his choices. I think about Vivian, who showed up when it mattered most and didn't ask questions before helping. I think about how close we came to falling through the cracks completely. And I think about how we didn't. Not because of luck. Not because the system worked. But because one person noticed. One person cared. One person asked the right question at the right time. Why aren't you living at the lake house? 4 simple words that changed everything. I pull out my phone and send Vivian a text. Thank you. For everything. For asking the right questions. For not letting it go. For giving us this chance. She responds immediately, even though it's late. You and Marcus gave me a reason to fight again. So thank you too. I smile at that. Then I add. Sunday brunch is on me. Revolutionary bagels or not. Vivian. Deal. But if they're mediocre, I'm writing a scathing Yelp review. Me. Wouldn't expect anything less. I go back inside, lock the door, turn off most of the lights except the porch light that makes the house look welcoming. Tomorrow Marcus has school. Have work. Vivian probably has someone's company to save or destroy, depending on whether they impressed her. Life goes on. Normal, boring, beautiful life. And we're here for all of it. In our house. On Clearwater Drive. With our own bathroom and no schedule. With hot chocolate whenever we want it. With space to breathe and grow and heal. Nathan stole 3.5 years from us. But he didn't steal our future. And in the end, that's what matters most. So what do you think? Did Vivian do the right thing? Did I do the right thing prosecuting my own brother? Should family loyalty mean accepting theft and betrayal? Let me know in the comments. But before you answer, I want you to think about something. Every day, people choose between what's easy and what's right. Nathan chose easy. He saw an opportunity to profit and he took it. He told himself lies about why it was okay, why he deserved it, why I wouldn't have appreciated it anyway. And maybe he even believed those lies. But I chose different. When Vivian gave me the option to settle quietly, to keep it private, to protect Nathan's reputation in exchange for the money back, I said no. Because Marcus was watching, learning, absorbing the lesson about what happens when people hurt you. And I wanted him to see that sometimes you fight back. Not with violence, not with revenge, but with truth, with justice, with the simple radical act of saying no. What you did was wrong, and there are consequences. That's the lesson that matters. Not that family is everything. But that being family doesn't give you permission to destroy people. Not that we should always forgive. But that we should always remember our own worth. Not that wealth solves everything. But that having someone who believes you, who fights for you, who refuses to let injustice slide, that changes everything. Marcus and I are okay now. Better than okay. We're building a life. And every Sunday, when Vivian shows up with bagels and terrible puns and fierce love wrapped in pearls and tailored coats, we're reminded that family is who shows up. Not who shares your blood. Who shows up. Remember that. And if you're out there, struggling, invisible, thinking no one sees you, keep going. Your black sedan might be coming. Your Vivian might be closer than you think. Your house on Clearwater Drive is waiting. You just have to survive long enough to find it. Thanks for listening. Subscribe for more stories. And remember, you're worth fighting for, even when the people who should fight for you don't.